Today's scripture reading comes from Daniel chapter 6, verse 20. When he had come near the den to Daniel, he cried out with a troubled voice. The king spoke and said to Daniel, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you constantly serve, been able to deliver you from the lions?"
Thank you, young people, for inviting me to come and speak today. Usually I get to speak to only old people now. I'm in my 90s. So it's nice that I get to come and speak to you today. By the way, my name is Belteshazzar. Can you say that good? Belteshazzar. Yeah, that's right. Some people, though, know me by my Hebrew name. Do you know what that is? What? No. Daniel. And so I'm so happy because most people that want to hear me speak, they want to know about the laws of Babylon or the laws of the Medes and the Persians and everything. But I'm here to tell you my story. I'm here to tell you my story. It happened when I was young, not much. I was a little bit older than you all, but not much. Not much older. The Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar came to my hometown, Jerusalem. I was in school with 3 of my friends. And the king came in, and he came into our school, and he took all of us captive and marched us from Jerusalem to Babylon. Now, King Nebuchadnezzar did this in a lot in the places that he would go. He would come and he would take young people like us and he would take them back to Babylon and he would educate them in the Babylonian school. And in their thought, he would take captive. He took us from Jerusalem. He took people from Egypt. He took people from Persia, from Assyria, from Grecia, from all over the world. He was taking people, and we all came together there in Babylon. Well, we got there, and we were put into, we were treated pretty good. You should have seen it. Every meal, it wasn't like, it was better than hot lunch, okay? It was way better than hot lunch. Because a hot lunch, what do you get? You get maybe one kind of meal, maybe you get some hot dogs, or maybe you get some pizza, or maybe you get what is that, a haystack, they call it? Maybe you get some of those meals. But let me tell you, the king would set out for us this big, huge, and I mean huge, Trump has nothing on this. Okay? This huge table, okay, of food, all kinds of foods. And guess what? They even put the desserts on the table, and we could get desserts first. It wasn't like at potluck, you go and you have to wait outside that window. Like, are they going to give us anything this week? But they spread this great big table out there with all of these kind of foods. Now, any of you like eating at like Thanksgiving? Yeah. And there's all these kinds of foods. And you watch and you see all of the adults and they go into what is called a food coma. They eat so much and then after they're so full. Well, there was so much food. People were starting to act like that. They would just, they would eat so much, it was such good, that they would have like a food coma. Well, we're supposed to be learning. We're supposed to be learning about Babylon. We're supposed to be learning all these good things. And I'm like, I looked to my friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. I said, you know what? There's just no way we can do this. If we're supposed to be learning, if we're supposed to be keeping our minds sharp and clear, there's no way we can eat all this. So We were like, So we went to the person in charge of the table, and we said, we can't eat this. Can and I know this is going to be terrible for you to think about. We just asked for vegetables and water. We said, we want to keep our minds clear. We want to be sharp. We want to know what we're doing. And he's like, oh, that wouldn't be good. This is the best food from the king. If I don't give you this food and something happens, it's my head. I said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Tell you what, give us 10 days. That's all I'm asking. 10 days and see. So he said, okay, I'll give you 10 days. So they did it in 10 days. And guess what? We looked better. We looked better. Our minds were sharper. And so he said, okay, I'll keep you on this diet. And so we ate bread and vegetables and water. And we went through the learning time. And we came before the king. And we took all of his tests. Oh, he tested us. He asked us all kinds of questions. And grammar questions, math questions. He asked us law questions. And you know what? We were 10 times smarter than everybody else. Whoa! That was fantastic. And so the king, right away, he said, guess what? He said, you are the smartest 4 people here. I'm going to put you in big positions of importance. And so we did. We were put into positions of importance. In fact, the king liked me so much that he put me in charge of the king's gate. I got to decide who got to go in and see the king and who didn't. Well, it happened not too long after that the king, he had a dream, and nobody, all of those old people, like the people that are sitting behind you, all those people, none of them had the answers. None of them could help the king. None of them. And so the king got so mad because these were supposed to be the smart people. They were supposed to be the wise people. And he said, fine, kill them all. He said, I'll start over with new people. And so they start going door to door. They start collecting up the people so they can take them and behead them. And they came to my door and they knocked on the door. And he said, hey, I got to take you and cut your head off. I'm like, what? You got to cut my head off. Why? He said, well, the king had a dream and nobody can tell it to him. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Take me to the king. So we went to the king and I said, king, can you give us 24 hours? 24 hours. He looked at me and he goes, well, it is true, Daniel, that you weren't in that group that came and was talking to me. And he, tell you what, I'll give you 24 hours. I'm like, phew, all right, 24 hours. So I immediately went to, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, and I got together with them and I said, fellas, we got to pray. We got to pray. And I just want to let you know right now, if you have a problem, the best thing you can do is pray. Yeah, the very best thing you can do is pray. And so we prayed. But you know what? They used to think that I couldn't pray because I was praying and all of a sudden I was out. I fell asleep. Any of you that happened to you? You're like praying, like, whoo, and you like fall right asleep. Well, that happened to me. Only when I fell asleep, God started talking to me. And he showed me what was in King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. It was something. It was an amazing dream. But anyway, I'm not going to dwell a whole lot on that dream because I want to tell you what happened to me. I went and told the king, and, well, we rose up even higher in the ranks, of the wise people, and I'm still not that old yet. So I'm doing pretty good. Rising up the ranks. Well, the next thing that happened, it didn't happen to me because remember I told you I'm in charge of the king's gate. So I'm in charge of the people that come and go and to see the king. And so I am there. I have to make sure that I keep the right people in or out and vice versa. Well, the king decided to build that statue that he saw in that dream, only he wanted to make it all gold, and he took it out on the plain, and he took all the people, the rulers with him out there, except for me, because I'm at the king's gate. I'm guarding, I'm making sure the right people are coming and going. Because, in my time, if there wasn't somebody there to guard the king's gate, there was somebody who was going to try to come over and take over the kingdom all the time. But I'm there. And my friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, they go out there, and they're supposed to bow down to that big idol. You think that's a good thing to do? Well, they're supposed to bow down to that big idol. The trumpets go, and they get back and they tell me that they didn't do it. And they told me that Nebuchadnezzar got mad at them. He got mad at them. He wanted to throw them in the fiery furnace. You ever hear of the fiery furnace? Oh, man. And I heard Nebuchadnezzar made it hot. He made it so hot that the guards fell down dead. Well, that's a hot fire. Have you ever been by a hot fire like that? How many of you ever roasted marshmallows? Did it get so hot that you had to go, I can't roast marshmallows anymore? No, I'm telling you, it was a hot fire then. Can you imagine a fire that you could not go and roast marshmallows at? That was this fire. They couldn't roast marshmallows at it. So they take them and they take them and they go and throw them in there. But Jesus showed up with them. Isn't that amazing? It was amazing. And Nebuchadnezzar, he promotes us again because he says, wow. But guess what I heard my friends say? They told Nebuchadnezzar that even if they gave them all the chances in the world, that they weren't going to bow down because they were going to serve God no matter what. Isn't that amazing? They were going to serve God no matter what. Boys and girls, that's an important thing to remember. And my three friends there, they showed me that all the time. That no matter what happened to us, the best thing for us to do was to follow God no matter what. And they did that. So you need to follow God no matter what. Right? Well, of course, time, went on. Nebuchadnezzar would die, and then his grandson would become king. Belshazzar. Now that man, he was a piece of work. He decided to bring in his own wise men, and that's fine. I didn't mind retirement. I felt retirement was good. And so I just went and I would work in writing down remembrances and things that happened, and I would just try to remember all that stuff. Well, one night Belshazzar decided to have a great big party. Did you know that he had a party? He had a party and he invited all the people, and this is the kind of party you shouldn't have, boys and girls. Hey? They had a party and they got drunk. You think that's good? Oh man, it wasn't. Not only were they drunk, but when how should I say it? When people start drinking, they usually start acting stupid. They start doing things that they wouldn't do any other time. Well, they start acting up, and all of a sudden on the wall there were these letters. Right along the wall. And everybody was scared. Nobody could read it. And finally, the Queen Mother, she comes in and she goes, Belshazzar, there is somebody who can help with this. And he's like, who? He said, there is somebody who God reveals even secrets to. Daniel. You need to call Daniel in. So he calls me in. And I come in, because he's the king, and he says, Daniel, I heard that you know secrets. And I'm like, no, I don't know secrets. God knows secrets. Oh, isn't that something? I want you to remember this, boys and girls. Never think you're too smart. Okay? Because I wasn't smart. God had blessed me. It was God who was really the smart one. Okay? God knew things, not me. And I said, God knows. And he says, okay, can you tell me? If you tell me, I'll make you the third ruler of the kingdom. I said, no, you don't have to worry about that. But I'll tell you. And so I told him. I said, your kingdom is gone. It's going to be divided up, and you're going to lose to the Medes and Persians. Well, of course, I told you, stupid people, because they were drinking. They didn't care. And guess what? That night, Belshazzar died. He died because the Medes and the Persians, they came in and they captured Babylon. And then there was a new king, Darius. He came in. And he came in and he heard, what I tried to tell Belshazzar. And, I worked with the laws and everything. People all over the area knew about me. Okay? And so when King Darius came in, he said, Daniel, I want you to be one of my leaders. I'm like, what? I'm not a Mede. I'm not a Persian. He's like, no. Everybody respects you. Everybody knows all about you. So he got 120 rulers and leaders, and he put them over different areas. And then there was a group of 3 of us that he put over top of even them. And I was one of them. I did my work so well. Pretty soon, I became the #1 leader. Second only to King Darius. Well, the other leaders, they did not like that at all. They didn't like it. No way. Have you ever had somebody that didn't like you? Did they ever try to do stuff to like get you into trouble? Oh, man, those are the worst kind of people, aren't they? Well, they did. They watched me and they said, you know what? We can't find anything wrong with Daniel. He does everything okay. They said, you know what? We might be able to find a way to get him into trouble if it has to do with his religion and what he believes. Wow. And so they watched me. They watched me for a few days. I knew they were watching me. You don't become the kind of leader that I am without knowing that people are watching you. And he was watching me. They were watching. I could see. But every single day, I would pray to God 3 times every day. Remember I told you, boys and girls, prayer is like the most important thing you can do. And when God made me a leader, it was even more important to pray. And so I didn't need to pray once a day or twice a day. I needed to pray 3 times a day. So I would pray. In fact, I would open up my window, and it was facing Jerusalem, and I would pray that way, not just because it was towards Jerusalem, but I wanted people to see that I was praying. I wanted people to know that my strength, my wisdom, came from God and not from me. I wanted people to know that. Because if I left those windows closed, nobody would know I was praying to God, nobody would know that I loved God, and nobody would know that I depended on God. But I wanted people to know I had to depend on God all the time. So I opened up those windows and I prayed. And so those leaders then, they went to the king, and they went to King Darius and they said, "Oh, king, guess what? King, how would you like to not just be king, but how would you like to be God?" Whoa! They said, "Now, king, now we know, that's a touchy thing. So how about if we just try it out for 30 days? We try it out for 30 days that you get to be God, and anything you say goes." Oh, well, how about that? Doesn't that sound good? Wouldn't you like that? How many of you like it if somebody came to you and said, "You know what? It's your birthday today. We're going to make you the prince or the princess of the day. Anything you say, anything goes on your special day." You like that? Oh, yeah, I get to eat whatever I want. Oh, I get to do all this stuff. But they said it to the king, and they said, "How about for 30 days? 30 days. Not just one day, but you get the entire month. It's your birthday month. Oh, isn't that fabulous?" Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, it was really good. The king was like, "Well, now, that last birthday I had, it really wasn't the greatest, but if I could have an entire month." They said, "Okay, let's make it a law that you are it for the day." So the king was like, "Hey, that sounds good." He signed it, and then he put his ring right in it, and he goes, "It's good." So sure enough, they made it the law. And in that law, though, it said that everyone had to worship the king for that day and treat him special and nobody else. Well, me, what did I do every day? I prayed to my God 3 times a day. Now, I like King Darius, but I wasn't going to stop praying to God, because if I stopped praying to God, I just wouldn't feel right. I would lose my strength, my power. I would lose everything. So I prayed to God. I went and opened up those windows, and I prayed just like I'd always been praying. Guess what? The spies were watching me. Woo-hoo! Oh, we got him now! Ha-ha! Well, they went running to the king right away. They went in there, ran in, King Darius, King Darius. And first of all, he started to say, you're interrupting court, but they're like, guess what? You've got a problem with the new law already. And he's like, well, what's the problem? They said, King, you got some people who aren't even following it. And King, and this is really bad, it's one of your leaders who aren't following it. And so now all those other people below him, they're not going to follow it either, because, you've got a leader. You've got to do something about this right now, King. He's like, what? I've got a leader who's not following it? Oh, yes, you do, King. You be careful, because, if you don't do something about this now, right now, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, you don't do something about it now, you are going to have anarchy, you're going to have chaos, you are not going to be king for very long. We can guarantee you that before the 30 days are up, you're going to be out, and there'll be a new king. What? Ah, no way! Tell me who it is. Tell me what's going on. Oh, King, it's Daniel. You should have seen the king. The king went, ooh. And then he just said under his breath, I forgot about Daniel. Daniel's my most trusted servant. Daniel would never do anything against me. But King, you signed the law. Oh, I did. And the king was kicking himself. It was like, oh, King, the law says Daniel has to go into the lion's den. It was true. I tried all day. The king tried all day to try to figure out a way to save me. I came and I said, don't worry about it, King. I'm good. I'm good with God. I'm good with you. I'm good. You can throw me in the lion's den. I'm good. So the king came with me, and they took me out to the lions, and you could hear the den outside of Babylon. The lions were roaring. Roar! Roar! Because they were hungry. In fact, these lions were so hungry that occasionally they would eat one of each other. That's how hungry they were. Oh, they were hungry. And they took me, and they had the lions down in that pit, and they removed the grate off the pit there, and the lions were looking up. They were hungry. It was like they were like. And the king came and said, Daniel, may the God who you continually serve protect you. And so with that, they gave me a shove, and I went, and I was tied up, hands behind my back. They wanted to make sure that I couldn't punch any of those lions on the way down. And they had my feet tied up, so I was tied up, and they just threw me in. And I hit the ground hard. I'm like in my 90s. I'm an old guy. I could pop out a hip or something, But they tossed me down there, boom, right on the ground. I hit hard. I got down there. And I'm waiting, I'm sort of squinting, but on the way down, I'm like, Lord, I love you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in your kingdom. And I hit the ground, boom, and I'm like waiting for the lions to come up and go, I was going to be gone, but a lion came up and licked me. It licked me on the gate, and they got those tongues with they feel like those little burrs. Anybody been licked by a cat? but the lion, it ran off my face. It was like it was trying to shave me. I was like, oh, that lion came up and licked me. And all of a sudden I felt my hands were free. And I reached down and I untied my feet. And I look around and the lions are like pacing back and forth. And some of them are like, and they're laying down. And I'm like, wow. And I look. And there's an angel. Angel is sitting right there next to me. And he just went through this to me. I was like, what? And so I kneeled down and I said, dear Jesus, thank you so much for loving me so much that you sent your angel to protect me. Oh, wow. It was amazing. And so I stayed up all that night praying, and I got to talk to that angel a little bit. He's a good guy. Good angel, I should say. Yeah, he's very nice. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And all of a sudden I heard, I could see that the light was just starting to creep through the sky, and I heard, Daniel, was your God able to save you? And I looked up and oh, don't worry about it, King. He sent his angel. I'm good. Oh, that's great, Daniel. We're throwing down a rope. Get on. And they threw down a rope. I climbed on that rope, and they pulled me right on out. And the king gave me a great big hug. He goes, oh, I'm so happy. He said, this is amazing, Daniel, because your God, whom you continually serve, was able to save you. Wow, it was amazing. Some people think that those lions weren't hungry. But those people that tried to get me into trouble, the king then rounded them up and threw them into the pit. And those lions were so hungry that the lions killed them before they even had a chance to hit the ground. The lions were like jumping off the wall. They would take a run and jump and catch them in the air. They were really hungry. And so those lions, it wasn't because they weren't hungry. They were. It was because God was with me and saved me. Boys and girls, but I got to serve not only under King Darius, but under King Cyrus as well later on. I got to serve 5 kings. Amazing. But it has to do with what King Darius said. He said, was the God you serve continually able to save you? And yes, he was, boys and girls. And I want to challenge you. You're young. Some of you are 7. Some of you are 6. Some of you might be even 9. Right? But I'd like you to make the decision today that you will serve God continually just as I have. Thank you for listening to my story today.